Hi, I'm Heather from Infinite Collective Healing, and I'm joined by my friend,
Angie from Activating Love Light
and we are here to have some really cool chats of activating you.
was starting on. They've been telling me this for years about the final light, that the final light is coming, and the final light is going to bring this wave of peace and love throughout the world. And so they were gearing up these last couple of months, gearing up. That's all they would talk about. And they're telling me this final light is coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. And they're telling me as it got closer, they said that the final light is going to be here on November 6th.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, okay, because they've told me November for 4 years, or 2 years, or whatever it was. I don't know. I have it all written down, but for the last 2 years, they kept telling me November. So I keep thinking it's the next November, but it wasn't November. But they're not in time. They're not in our time. But so they said November 6th, the final light is coming. And so on November 6th, that was the final light is here. And that's what they're saying is going to be here now for the next 4 years and spreading this love light, which is what they told me 2 years ago, which is why I started my website and they wanted me to name it Activating Love Light because of the final light that's coming. And that this final light is going to bring a wave of love and peace throughout the world and an elevation of light. And that there are star seeds on this earth that are going to help activate other star seeds on the earth. And that's where we're at. So I checked in with them and they're like, the final light is here. We are in the final light. We are in the vortex. We are in the portal. This is it.
Wow.
And then it's going to carry us through to the elevation of the shift, which is going to bring Earth through the Stargate Earth portal, which is over the entire Earth, that is now opening because of our light, because this final light is affecting all of the light workers, well, star seeds on the earth to open up their own portals. And every time a starseed awakens and opens up their portal, it pours more light into the portal that is going to bring Earth to the new Earth
Hmm.
in 5D. So anyway, final light is here. That's what they call it.
That makes me, you remember in, what was it? Gosh, I can't remember how many sessions we've done. Remember that one session that we asked, it was like a Q&A, and they said that there was going to be a moment that something happened that created the snowball effect.
Yes. Yes.
That's just what popped in my head, that we have hit that pivotal moment.
I have always seen that. I have always seen that. And as it got closer, I saw the event of November 5th here in the United States. I saw that as the catalyst
Wow. That's so
and,
crazy. Because
and that the light,
I didn't, like I said, I've never, I stayed out of it this time. I was guided to, and here's another cool thing. Like, I really think is that each of us have a certain mission that we have to tap into, like where you were guided to do your thing and I was guided to do my thing, and mine was to stay neutral. Because I just knew that there's an ultimate plan, and I just allowed space. I was there to just hold space for whatever needed, for, I guess, to let humanity choose. So and some of you were doing your thing with your light, and then some, of course, doing with their density. But it was almost what I'm seeing, and that I knew that this timeline shift had happened, that apparently we had enough people activated in their light to be the tipping point.
yes.
And again, you know you can put politics in there, but the grand scheme of things is about humanity in general. And when you look at the big picture, we have shifted tremendously into this higher version than anticipated. But it's almost like, because they've also told us that it's going to get bad before it gets good. And the reason it gets bad is because the darkness gets shaken. And it's even more because there's more light. When there's more light, it's almost like, this. I always get this vision sometimes, like, like in a scary movie. And when you cut the light on, it's like all of the darkness just is like, ah, and it starts melting back and it's like running away from the light. And as the light gets closer and closer, it's like, ah, and it freaks out and runs back.
Yes.
That's what I'm seeing. And that's
Yes.
be like the scary part or the bad part. And it's just because all of that has to fester out. And a lot of it's going to come in healing, you know?
Mhm.
And you also,
That's the other thing my guides told me. This healing energy of repair has also come in with this final light. So the earth, the world is healing. This energy is here.
yeah,
It's just going to get more and more pronounced as the days go on.
yeah, yeah.
So the energy's here.
And I think if humanity would actually right now in this pivot, regardless of what's going on around you, if more and more people would focus on their heart space and come out of their mind all the time, because that in the mind is where everything gets trapped, and that's where all this anxiety and all of the things that we think about, but coming back into heart, it's almost as if that would even be an even faster shift, right? And then I'm also like, this is literally coming in right now. If everybody would start going in their heart space, because if look what we did with Milton, right? Imagine if we were to all at one time collectively think of peace, for instance.
Yes.
What would that feel like? Because it's going to be this collective energy for once that would just whoosh over the entire planet.
Yes.
So I'm putting that out there. Like, if you watch this, do it. If you can just every moment that comes in your mind, let's just think about peace in your heart space and go it from the heart, not from the mind. Imagine what that vibration would feel like. And then it's almost as if I feel that because we jumped on this higher timeline, that I mean, time's already sped up. It has been so fast and so slow at the same time. If you
Mm-hmm.
have not noticed that, I look back and I'm like, how has it only been 4 freaking years?
Right. I
How?
know. I
I've
know.
lived in Tennessee for 3. How? But
Yeah.
I feel like, how is it already November? Like, where has time gone?
Yes.
Where it, like, I did a channeling one time. It was last year, and I didn't even ask this question in this channeling. And I literally kind of put myself on, I'm like, what guidance do you want? And, one thing led to another. And then there was this moment when I remember them saying, time becomes fluid in the end. It flows back and forth. It's like an ebb and flow. And whenever you start losing track of time, and it speeds up and it slows down, it comes in and it flows out. And it was just like they were showing me, like, time becomes like a breath. It's just in and out, in and
Mm-hmm.
out. Like, what the heck? That's weird.
Right.
But I'm seeing that now, because I literally I'm going back and thinking about time, and where is it going? But yet, how has it only been, like, it doesn't make sense to my 3D
Yeah.
mind, which shows that those of us that are at this moment, we are truly living in the 4D, because
Yeah.
time is starting to dwindle away. It doesn't make sense. And I don't even want to hold on to it. I don't even care about it like I used to, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
we have to be reminded, though, because we're here to elevate the 3D. So we do have to kind of keep friends in there, and still have things that's in the 3D to stay kind of
Right.
there to heal it. But that's been a wild thing for me that I've done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And this healing thing, gosh, Who would have known? All it takes
Yeah.
to go into the heart space. It's so wild. It's so easy, but so hard because that's the one place we've been taught not to do is go within.
Right. Right. And
Insane.
I feel like this final light is amplifying the light that's already here, which also breaks down the thickness of the matrix, which allows for people to start healing themselves
Mm-hmm.
from the heart, because that's where that light is. Like, it's the heart center. And so people are going to have an easier time connecting to their light
Mm-hmm.
because of this final light that has come in. And they have told me that the final light is working through the star seeds opening their light, but it's also a sort of push from source. So and it's just, I think it's going to be more available for people.
That reminds me, do you remember watching there was something that was said about NPCs as being light workers and they appear to us because Dolores Cannon talks about NPCs or the backdrop people. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, they're soulless people. And I know I've read that and I've heard that for a long time, but I've always also questioned, well, if this is such a golden ticket place to be, everybody wants to be here. Souls are lined up out of the wazoo. Why would there be clearly viable vehicles walking around without a soul? I've always questioned that, like, but I didn't know any different. So I was like, I'm just gonna leave it open because I'm not saying that like this is my truth yet because I don't know enough about it. But I heard the other day that NPCs are just those beings. They are still light workers, star seeds, but they are not activated just yet. They're still carrying on the burden to the point that they think that they're still so deep in the matrix and so deep in the program and that they are holding all of the density. And up until this November thing, they were holding the timeline. They were in control of the timeline. And somehow, some way, some of those, what we would probably label as NPCs, got activated some way, somehow. Solar flares came in, something triggered, and boom, some of those, what we would call NPCs, zombie, lifeless beings, became alive. They woke up. They are so stuck. Think about what you would think about an NPC or a backdrop person. They are like very robotic, very whatever. But if you think about how we are so deep in sleep. That's what
Yeah.
that's what it would feel like. Sleepwalking through the day, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what they look like. Well, that makes way more sense to me that would be a viable vehicle for a soul to sit in, but it just wasn't time. And then it's like, oh my gosh, how genius is the divine plan to slowly awaken humanity, trickle, 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 because it's kind of like a sneak attack to the archons, right? And they know that it's coming, but they've been prolonging this and they've hijacked it many times. But we actually have enough outside resources this time. Like it's going to happen regardless. So it's in game for them. And that's cool. It's about time they go back to the light. They've spent way too much time in the darkness. But anywho, when you think about these NPCs and they have like zero light right now, just a little speck, like it's so faint that barely when if any light was put on it, it would just flicker, but you couldn't see it, right? If you think about that, they're feeding the darkness. That's where their food is coming from, right? Is these NPCs. Pretty genius if you think about it. And then there's something going to happen. Now that we're on this new timeline, it's like, ooh, is there going to be this rampant X flare after X flare? Like, is something going to happen to all of a sudden, boom, wake them up? It only takes a little bit. And then all of a sudden they get activated. Is that the reason why? Like, are we, because, you know, we got to think about, we are doing this ourselves. This is coming from us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if the NPCs, these last souls, get activated at just the right time? Just the right time to create this micronova, which is known as the solar, the light show, the laser show. There's so many different labels for this last event that creates the shift in order for 5D to now be separate. That would be so cool. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
that would be cool.
I don't know. There's got to be a reason why they're still, because they have had so many opportunities to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's like no judgment at this point because we can't save them all and they're not all ready to go to the next dimension. You know, I think you and I have actually asked and they've already told us, like, not being arrogant or anything, but we've already done 3D, we've done 4D, we've done 5D. It's like we have other missions. Like, we're supposed to go, you know, do this with other planets. Like, this is taking a lot longer than we anticipated, but it's so needed for the galaxy. Like, the whole galaxy is learning through this procedure. Like, holy crap, it's working. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's and we don't even have our gifts yet. Like, you know, think about what we've heard about Atlantis. They had all their gifts activated and they still got hijacked.
Yeah.
Holy
right.
crap. And then here we are, we have not, they've been slow about activating our gifts because they didn't want us to go too fast in the process. They wanted us to learn slow enough that we learned from our lessons. And I think a lot of that old past life stuff is coming back. And I think that's a lot of the hesitation that we have because we don't remember, but we do ultimately subconsciously remember what it was like last time that we were at this pivotal moment. And you know, you start hearing about the fake alien invasion. Well, crap, that's what they did in Atlantis. It was really what they did. They hijacked it and was like, we're here to save you. And then this is what came to me yesterday too. I don't know why I was getting all this information yesterday. But it was like, oh my gosh. Thinking about, if you want to go outside yourself, somebody's going to save me. Somebody's going to come and save me. Well, the church religion says that Jesus is going to come back and get you, right? I've also fell into, what if they had Jesus appear in the sky as not a fake alien invasion, but a fake Jesus return. And Jesus is like, come,
yeah.
come.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I don't know why that came to me, but I thought, well, there's a reason why it's in the Bible. They have to tell you before they do it. And what better way, you know, aliens, that's going to scare some people. I mean, that'll bring on the fear tactic, right? But Jesus coming back, that's going to catch a lot of people.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't even know if that's possible, right? Like, okay, you can put it in one part of the earth, but we just got done saying, like, okay, well, that doesn't affect me. You know what I mean? If it's in China, it's not going to affect me. But if it's, you know, here in my sky, I'd be like, wow, holy crap. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know.
I don't know. You know,
I don't know if it's that or, yeah, I feel like the wave of the final light coming in now, first of all, is having you have these epiphanies of things. Because I've had quite a few yesterday myself about things. It's opening up our gifts of remembering, and it's opening up our whatever other gifts to come online, and it's just going to get stronger and stronger. But uh, my thing is, and I'm waiting to find out, but they say that the dark will put up a fight before it actually leaves. And so, I don't want to focus on that at all, but I'm kind of just letting it play out without having an attachment to anything. But I am curious, like, well, what about that? Like, how's that going to look? What's that going to look like? But my guides have told me, like, you are peace. Like, you bring the portal of love and peace, and that's where you're going to be. So, I, when I focus on that, but as a human, you're curious, like, okay, I would think that the other side would be pissed and want to stop all of this from happening. And so it's kind of like, just an observer from the sidelines, just going, so what are they going to do? Because I feel confident in my discernment itself. So if Jesus showed up in my sky, I'd be like, I don't know if that's real, or that's just the hologram. But I just,
And it's almost like, that could be an old timeline, but whatever, I think they're trying to strategically figure out their last move, because they've done a lot of like putting stuff out there to scare us, but we're not buying into it. And they're like, well, shit, that ain't working.
right.
You know,
Yes.
and before we would fall into it, so we manifest it. So they didn't even have to use a move. We manifested it ourselves because we fell into fear and we created it into our reality. So they're like, and they keep trying to do these things to us and nothing's ever came of it. And they're like, crap,
Yeah.
it worked once, but you know, what's that saying? Crap, I can't even think of it. Like, you do it to me once, shame on.
Yeah. Shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on me. Or 3 times or whatever.
Yeah. And so now it's like, yeah, we're not falling for it this time. So I think the biggest message that I got was that be prepared for anything, and you have to use your discernment, not from your head. Do not try to think your way through any of this crap that could actually happen. If something does show up in the skies, because we know that they have holograms, they're already showing it all over. If you look at TikTok, they're putting it up everywhere. It's in the random places and it looks so real. They are already testing this technology out. Okay. And so if you know that to be true, if something happens in the sky, it's just gonna be a scare tactic at this point. I feel deeply that, our brothers and sisters that do want to have that connection with us, that we will have that connection in 5D, because we look past the vehicle, and we feel with our hearts, so we'll feel into them and know that they're safe. That's one of the reasons why they haven't made contact yet, because they know that we are in such fear, and it's not our, I mean, that goes into victim, but like that programming that has been installed into us because they didn't want us seeking outside of ourselves, or sorry, they didn't want us to find out the truth. And so they wanted us to rely on everything outside.
Yes.
Give us the truth and
Yes.
not come
And
here.
those who have now witnessed the light coming in full force are being afraid, because they're like, wait a minute, that means nobody's going to tell me what to do, or whatever, like what to believe, or how am I going to think for myself? How am I going to do that? So, I mean, it's going to shine a light on your own beliefs. It's going to shine a light on your own attachments to what you believe you can't live without. And what you are going to realize, that there are things that you believe that you didn't realize kept you so in the dark about things. That's what's coming.
I keep finding out stuff all the time. It's just like, for the longest time, there was just so many those small beliefs that you didn't even think that
Mhm.
you didn't even realize it was a belief, because that's probably the hardest thing about this healing, about the belief system, is when you've only been taught that, the only way that you're going to find out if it's actually truth or not is to feel into it. And whenever, like, I was literally thinking about something the other day, and it was this thought that I had, and I was like, wow, how does that make me feel? How do I know what discernment is? And so when I started feeling into it, I felt division.
Mm.
And I was like, ooh, so that belief creates division. So therefore it's not of the light, because the light only brings oneness. It brings unity. So
Yeah.
that was something that I was like, oh my God, okay, so now I need to break down that belief system. So I've got to reprogram my mind, change
Yes.
my mindset about that particular idea that I thought was the way. And so that's where I'm starting to understand, like, sometimes it's hard to tell, is it a belief? Is it truth? But you don't have to think about it. That's, again, using your discernment comes from the heart space. When you feel into it and ask, does this idea, does this way of doing, is this creating unity? Is it coming from love? Do I feel that it's bringing people together? If
Hmm.
it doesn't, then it's not of the light. It is outside.
Yeah.
It is part of the false matrix. It's part of the programming. So that's kind of how I've been navigating, and that's actually been an epiphany recently, because I've had like these classes where it's like, identify the belief, and then you backtrack it, where it came from, and all the jazz. And I'm like, but how do you freaking know where to go if you don't even know that what that if it like doesn't make any sense to me,
Yeah.
when people start trying to do limited belief work, you're thinking about it, and that's the problem. The how to identify these beliefs is how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
That's been
Yes.
literally my epiphany the last couple of weeks, and I'm like,
Hmm.
that's way easier
Hopefully.
than anything else.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter that you believe it or not, because again, it's about discernment, and it's about you and your journey. And you got to put yourself at the forefront. You got to save yourself first, put your oxygen mask on first, because if you're not shining the brightest that you can be, you can't be a shining light for anybody else.
Mhm.
That goes in that thing about love. If you can't love yourself unconditionally, that's something else I've been doing. I've been falling in love with myself. I've been looking at myself in the mirror, be like, girl, you be looking good today. Woo! I can feel the vibrations on myself. And it feels so good, because I really feel it. I'm not faking it, because, a lot of the spirituality was like, fake it till you make it. And I even believed that for a while. But I found that faking it till you make it is a low vibration too, because in
Yeah.
the deep part of your soul that you don't believe it. That's why manifestation doesn't work by faking it till you make it.
And it's not authentic. Authenticity is the heart of truth, right? I
Exactly.
think
Yes.
so.
So that's something that I've been discovering. It's like, dang, I want to do things for me. It's time for me to live. It's time for me to enjoy. And, even I would even catch myself, and this has been kind of this week, being home and doing these chats all the time. It's like, well, my husband goes out and work. A part of me was feeling guilty, like, I'm home, so I should be cleaning and cooking and all the crap, right? And I was
I
like,
feel that all the time.
yeah. And I'm like, I'm working too. And I even had this conversation. I'm like, that's not my job. If I choose to do it because I want it done for me, if I'm going to cook supper because I'm hungry, cool. If he gets to eat, because you know what? He's his own being too. Like, you gotta learn to break cycles and break routines down, even at that core level, because
Hmm.
it's not about giving all your energy away. I mean, like, literally, you're giving yourself away you're pleasing other people. It's people pleasing.
Yeah.
And that's been something that I'm dealing with this week. And I'm like, you know what? If I was working at home full time, which I consider this being work, and
Yeah.
you know, but people don't look at it that way, right? They
Yeah. No, I know.
physically working, you're just mentally working. Oh, I hate that conversation. Like, okay. But
Mm.
anyways, so it's like, they belittle us to a point that we feel guilty, low vibrational, that we need to be doing this and you need to do that and you got to do this and you got to do that. And, it's kind of like being a stay at home mom. It's the same freaking
Yes.
storyline, right?
Yes.
And I remember wanting to be a stay at home mom, but I couldn't afford to, right? Because how society worked. But when I looked at my mother was a stay at home mom. My dad would give her like $10 for the week. And she
Yeah.
was supposed to do what with that? Basically, it kept her home. That's why he done it. He wanted to make sure she stayed home so she didn't spend money, right? That was kind of like how it was. And I don't know if it was $10. I'm probably exaggerating, but still, it was kind of like that's how she portrayed it. Like she never had money. So whenever we got old enough, like my baby brother got old enough, she went get her own money. And it's same kind of concept. A husband will go out and work and then he expects the wife to stay home. And then she has to cook, clean, take care of the kids. And then he comes home and she still has to keep working and she still keeps watching the kid. He's like, I'm too
Right.
tired to watch. I've done worked all day.
Right.
Never gets a break.
Never gets a break. Yep.
And
Exactly.
I have so many friends right now that are stay at home moms and they're like feel guilty for sending their kid to someone else for a little while. And I'm like, you have to breathe. You have
Yes.
to do self-care. Do not
Yeah.
feel guilty for giving your kids to their grandparents. That's why they're there. Give them to this grandparent this weekend and this grandparent the next weekend. Like take 3 days, take a week off. Enjoy you, because if you cannot be your true authentic self in high vibration, you cannot vibrate high enough for even your kids.
Yeah.
What happens is you get into that cycle of
Mhm.
like, oh God, it's just another day. And then you find yourself being ill with your kids and you start doing nasty things because you're actually out of your window of tolerance,
Yeah.
working in your hyper fight or flight,
Mhm.
mentality. It changes your behavior. And then you start pushing your density onto your kids because you're out of control. And it becomes a cycle.
Right.
Oh,
Yes, totally. I know.
so many
Yep.
so many women need to hear that. Like, get out, quit taking on that burden, let go. Do not feel shameful, do not feel guilty for taking your kids somewhere. You need to
Mhm.
take time for yourself. You need to enjoy yourself. You
And you also need to, like, because I did this, and you also need to um make moments for yourself throughout the day to make them just for you. So maybe you don't need to get rid of your kids, have them, because some people don't have family or don't have somewhere to take them. So have them set up in a little place where they can do their own thing for a little bit and find something, a cup of coffee, and just sit there and journal for 5 minutes or read or something, or just be there with them, enjoying the time with them in a calm place. Like reset your own self and make it a fun day for them, and make it a fun little setting for them. I used to do that all the time with my kids because I didn't have anybody to watch them. So I would have to find ways to calm down my own nervous system to enjoy the moment, because and I would find ways to get out of the house with my kids to have them enjoy. We went to every park in every place we could find just to find something new and something different. And I would climb on the park thing with them, and or sometimes I'd sit at the picnic table while they played and enjoyed my cup of coffee or whatever. you know
yeah.
so I agree with you though. And if we're putting guilt in the mix, then our kids feel it, we're miserable, and you know now my kids are 16 and telling me how grateful they are for their childhood and how fun it was. And oh, they so nostalgic when they look at the pictures and how they remember how much fun that was. And, you know, so it's an energetic thought process of feeling, like you said, if you're searching for that feeling of joy or calm or peace, what are those things that bring that to you, regardless of your children, regardless of, you know, your circumstances? What are those things that bring that to you, if that's what you need? So, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are dealing with that right now. At least the ones that I have, they do have parents and grandparents that can help out, but that's what I hear the most is like, I just, and when I get in their presence, it's like they'll beg for me to come around. They're like, please come over. There's just something about your calming energy. And I literally can go over and their kids flock to me and they are all in my face and like they act totally different when I'm there, of course, right? And I'm like, you don't realize that they're feeding on your energy. When you are in that chaotic state, they're going to react to that chaotic state, you know? And it's
Right.
like, and if you are dealing with a lot of mental illness and that throws in the mix, like sometimes you just got to figure out how to take a break, you know? And I've been trying to teach a lot, some of these friends that I have, like other ways to calm the nervous system. I'm like, make your kids do it with you. Teach them how to calm their nervous system with the breath, you know?
Yep.
And they use excuses, right? Go into victim mode and blame. It's like, well, I don't have time to do meditation. I'm like, do a 5 minute, do a 2 minute meditation with your kids. Teach them the active meditation and how important it is.
Yes.
They're
I
never
had to do that.
to learn.
I did the same thing with
Yeah.
my kids.
So the things that I feel like a lot of parents are desiring is ways that they can find themselves, but you can find yourself through your kids if the things that you desire, you start incorporating them into the mix too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you are to a point where you are about to blow a fuse, it is time to step away. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Step away and
Yeah, definitely.
what you need to do and do some self-care. And then when you're ready, you know, to start pulling them back in, start finding ways to incorporate the things that you wish you could do, but don't make it a wish, just do it. And then start showing them how to. What better way to be an example for the leaders of tomorrow, right? Thank you for watching. We hope that you enjoyed what we had to say. Lots of stuff came through today. So whew, just let it resonate and let it be seeds if you need it. Let it pull it into your heart space and just see where it goes from you. Any last words from you, Angie?
Just be yourself and try to focus in on the light within you to feel your feelings and to resonate from your heart.
Absolutely. So we'll definitely come together and do lots more videos together because, Lord, we activate each other. So we're sending you so much love and we hope you enjoy and we will see you next time.